I'm not going to put a time frame around it because there's a kind of a public part of the process that has to happen. But we look forward to getting that public part of the process started.
Would you say the rooftop people are a separate issue from your agreement with the city and the aldermen at this point?
Well, I think we look at it all as one big issue for one big deal. I mean, we want to understand what we have, what we have in the park and outside of the park.
Is there posturing helpful or hurtful in this process?
I really haven't paid that much attention to the posturing. I mean, we're gonna come out with at some point when we're ready, we come out and talk about it, and I think it'll all work out.
What about the contract you have with the rooftops? Is that a legitimate argument for them?
I mean, it's a really awkward contract. I don't know if anyone's ever looked at it, but I think we'll be okay there.
What do you feel like is the biggest hurdle to get over at this point?
I think it's just a process. I mean, we're just working through the process. We've got to start. There's going to be public hearings that have to go forward. We just have to start making sure that we basically check all the boxes that one needs to get a major development done in Chicago.
Just to reiterate, when you said there was a time frame, it was only because you need a lot of time to plan this. Once there is an agreement to get this thing going.
Well, we have different options, and obviously there's a lot of different things in the park that can be improved. We'll take a look at what options are available to us when we 100%.
But if you don't get a decision, say by the first or by some date, do you just say, well, it's good, we can't do this?
Yeah, like I said, we're looking at all the options on what can be done and where that has to be an issue.
Are there outs or loopholes in that contract that you guys can exploit? I've heard that might be the case.
No, none that I'm aware of.
Is there any chance this will be done over 2 years rather than the 4 or 5 that you have?
There's been no change in that thought. The concept has always really been to focus on sequentially off-season improvements that ultimately get to where we need the park to be. We're working really hard, and we have solved a lot of the issues. So maybe that was something that we're still, from my perspective, we're very committed to the mayor and very committed to the aldermen to keep pushing forward and
Are you optimistic, though, that a deal will get done? More so?
Yeah, I'm optimistic. I think everything's heading in the right direction, and I'm very optimistic.
If there's no out in the contract or loophole or whatever, and it's a binding contract,
yeah, I mean, I think that one, I'm just going to defer that one, and like I said, I think I think it'll all work out.
Can you say how many more night games you'd like or what?
I'm not going to say that. I'm not going to say today. We obviously would like to have more flexibility on when we can schedule night games. There's times where the team's coming back from a West Coast, as you guys all know, times where you're coming back from a West Coast trip that make it awkward. And there's just times where a night game fits better for us. There's also times where the league will take away a day game and make it a night game. So there's a lot of moving parts, but we just like, basically in the end, like I've always said, just some more flexibility in scheduling.
So even though the deadline, April 1st, hasn't been met, you still expect this to happen this offseason?
I mean, we're working under the assumption that everyone's working toward getting this done as soon as possible and pushing forward.
Is it fair to say, I mean, you talk about timing of this, but you guys probably have scenarios set that, once you get an agreement, you can move forward pretty quickly in terms of setting this up. You probably have some sort of idea of how to set it.
We've studied a lot of the different options, what we can and can't do.
The objection to more parking, did that surprise you that they would object to that?
Honestly, we haven't had public hearings on that, and so I'm not sure exactly what all the objections are, but we're sensitive to things that affect the neighbors. We want to be responsive to issues that the neighbors have. I think we have some ideas on parking that'll work, but once again, we're just working through it.
Is the public hearing aspect part of the process you keep referring to, or is it just you still try to get people to agree in principle with what you want to do?
Well, I mean, we have to go forward, and there is a public hearing side of it that every development has to go through, and that's ahead of us. And we're looking forward to working with the mayor, working with the aldermen to start that process.
Could this happen in the next 48 hours?
I don't know. I don't use time frames anymore. And I'm not sure what it means to have it done in 48 hours or not have it done in 48 hours. So all I know is, like I said, we've committed to working exclusively with the city to try to push this forward, working with the mayor's office and the alderman to get to the solution that works for everybody.
We'll take a few more questions on the renovations and we'll move
To
on.
have the public hearings, you need a proposal in place, or right? So one step.
I'm not sure what the sequences is, but it's.
Well, if there had been no proposal, would the public hearings have come in conjunction with the discussion? So in order to have the public hearings, something has to happen for the public hearings.
Right. Well, obviously we'll do it in the right order.
When a deal's done, how fast would Theo and Jed have money to put into the on-field product?
Well, a lot of the stuff we're doing with the park is non-revenue generating. We haven't decided in what sequence all of it goes in. I think our highest priority, honestly, is clubhouse. As you guys know all too well, and as people who've seen other people's clubhouses, it's way below standard. And one of the things that I've said since we got here, if we want to have a first-class organization, we can't have second-rate facilities. So we'd like to. That would be a high priority for this off-season. With respect to the other things, I'm not sure when all of it comes online. We'd have to think about sequencing, and frankly, I haven't been focusing on that lately.
You're one of the most optimistic people. What do you expect the club to do on this issue?
We're going to be all right. We got obviously we got to stay healthy, get our rotation back together. I think we've got a pretty good team, and I think we have a great manager, and I know that we have great baseball leadership. So I'm very confident. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Con.
Thank you.
Take care of it.